Everyone, I'm happy to virtually welcome you all to today's Ad Art Show 2020 Lunchtime POV from MVVO Art. My name is Emily Anastasi from the MVVO Art team, and it's my pleasure to introduce the first episode of a series called Ad Art Show 2020 Winner Spotlight, hosted by Debbie Wells of Artful Circle, featuring winning artist Anton Picknan. Welcome everyone, let's get started.
Hi everyone, my name is Debbie Wells from Artful Circle, and here I am with Anton Picknan, and we're very excited to see you. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you. It's been quite a big last 2 weeks, probably the biggest of my life. So I feel like I still have to process all of that. It's hard to fathom everything that happened.
Well, let me tell you, I think it's a very exciting thing for you and for your career. And I just want to point out that even though it's a show that's in New York in the Oculus, the Ad Art Show by MVVO, you are actually not from America. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're from and where we're talking? I'm in New York right now on Long Island, and where are you?
I am in Helsinki, Finland. I am Finnish. I've been living here my whole life. And yeah, this is lunchtime POV, but here it is 7:30 p.m. So for me, it's more like dinner time POV.
And I just woke up. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about the fact that MVVO and the Ad Art Show are very into helping people that are creative, mostly successful people in the advertising industry, and helping them break in to the fine art world. And you are a perfect example of that, because in Helsinki, you are a freelance graphic designer, and you have a pretty interesting and good career in that, with a lot of options. But one of the things you wanted to do was work your way into the fine art world. So can you tell me a little bit about how you made that transition on your own? And then we'll talk about how MVVO helped you do that here.
So I studied packaging and brand design in Lahti University. And after I graduated, I worked as an art director in a small marketing agency here in Helsinki. And after that, I was unemployed for a while in 2018. And during that time, I realized the significance of doing art nearly full time for my overall well-being. So I made the decision to, instead of looking for next full-time job, I started my freelance career, so I could control more the shift from design to fine art.
So while you were trying to do that, which is something that was very smart to do, because if you're able to do that, you can focus on both, you can make some money and do it at the same, and pursue fine art at the same time. What skill set do you think you did in graphic design versus what the skill sets you needed for fine art, and how did you try to balance those two skills?
How I see it with art and design, in design, you use your tools to reach an end goal or to solve a problem. And in art, you use your tools to bring you to the end results. So the dynamic is a bit different, but I do feel like they feed into each other in a big way, like everything from like understanding of the colors, composition, balance between visual elements. I think there's a lot of common things in the both of
Well,
the process.
You're right. When you do graphic design, usually you're doing commercial art for someone, a business perhaps, or an organization, and you're expressing what they want you to express. When you're doing art, it's all your message. So I know that one of the projects that you did, which really helped you propel the fine art world, was being in this UN Principles project in Finland. And that's the big thing you did before you got involved in the Ad Art Show here in New York. So tell us a little bit about that and what you were trying to say.
Yes, so in 2019, I was part of Basvare International Art Contest here in Finland. And the theme of the contest was AI plus me, artificial intelligence. So my piece called Principles, I used weaved fabric as a binary code. And when you translate the code, it lists 5 main principles of United Nations plan on new technologies. So it was fun project, but even though usually I don't handle that kind of literal subjects, but it was eye-opening.
So now, actually, speaking of the weaving technique and all the fabric that you use, can you tell me a little bit about just the different materials that you use and how you infuse words and typography into your material?
Yes, I mainly use like fabrics and paper and thread to weave and braid and all that kind of stuff. So the whole process is quite meditative and slow or long, and often I've used sentences in my works. If I have, for example, a poem, if I connect some poem or word with the art piece, so sometimes I implement text into my works.
So you are poetic, but do you also get inspired by nature?
Yes, you could say mainly nature.
Mm-hmm.
I almost never use any other figurative themes other than nature. So I think it goes hand in hand with kind of poetic essence. And I've been writing poems since I was a kid, and I often describe my style as poetic because I've heard it so many times. People say, "Oh, that's so poetic. Your style is so poetic." So I decided, well, let me just use that word myself also, because it seems to direct the expectations of people into the correct, right way.
Right. Well, you're branding yourself, and that's branding yourself is not just a good design, graphic design and commercial thing to do. It's also good in the fine art world too. You'll become known as the poetic artist. Now, I forgot to ask you this, Anton, before we started speaking, but is that piece that's behind you one of your pieces?
Yes, this
Oh,
is my
good.
latest one. This is my latest one,
Okay.
called Gathering. It's a bit dark here, but there is small huts like bungalows, and then foliage made with fringes.
Yes, you can see the fringes going towards the bottom. It's very, very nice. And do you usually frame them or no?
Usually not, but that's mainly because I have to change the placement of the pieces quite often as I finish new one. So I need to quite quickly always move some other one to the storage. So I keep them like that.
So now it looks like, do you live in an apartment? Is that your studio, or is it two different places, or are you all in one?
All in one.
And do you live by yourself, so you have the full reign of the place?
Yes, I think this far I've been doing art in my place, and I think it's working because of I live by myself now. I don't think I could do it if I were to be in a relationship or something, because usually this place is not this neat and tidy. It's like all over the place, different like materials and stuff. So
Well, let me ask you, so since you're used to working alone and having free reign in your apartment, so you could make a mess and, be creative, how has COVID changed or not changed your creative process?
the change has been quite small. I think since I've been staying at home more, I've been working a little bit more, but it's not a big change. And I think it also hasn't changed my mental place of working.
Well, it does sound like you have a very calm and meditative way about you, and that's the way you have your creative process. Do you feel that helps your well-being? Like, how does that incorporate into your life itself, your art and your life?
Yeah, in a big way. I think it's always been a place for me to shut down the outside world and take space and time to face myself and to process myself. So even though these days it's more like just ongoing overall well-being and lifestyle, but it was when I was younger, it was quite significant help and tool for me to get through some challenging times.
Well, it's funny because now there you are now, and you created your own oasis. But I know have you been to New York before, ever?
Yes, I visited USA in 2014, I think, and I spent 5 weeks in total there and 2 weekends in New York.
So there you must have discovered that this is a city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
Now I know that you did go to New York, but have you been to the Oculus where your work is now on display?
No, I can't recall visiting Oculus.
It hasn't been there that long, and it's not in Midtown Manhattan. It's actually very close to the site of where the World Trade Center was. So it's a fairly new building, and it's an architectural wonder. It's really a very spectacular building. So do you think you'll visit it next time?
Oh, absolutely. I am already making plans with my friends to visit as soon as it is possible and safe.
Oh,
of course,
good.
it's impossible to say like how long it will actually take. But yes, I am going to visit New York City when I can.
So tell us about what you think of the virtual art world as opposed to looking at art in galleries or museums and so on. The way that Maria through MVVO is doing it, and how we were able to, now that you won this contest, now your work is being shown to so many people. You realize that it's not just the people that are looking at the screens at the Oculus as they're walking by, but now it's coordinated with artsy.com. So all of this new exposure, tell me how that's affected your life and your career.
Well, I think all of this, the Oculus and the big screens of the exhibition and artsy.net, I think this all has been no doubt the biggest thing that ever happened for me or for my career this far.
Well, now you're an
And-
international superstar.
And I think it's fantastic that we have this way of doing things in a digital way and online, especially now that we are faced with such a horrible global pandemic. So I think that what Maria had in mind was quite genius.
She was
Yeah.
ahead of her time, that's for sure.
Mm.
Now, speaking of social media and the digital world, didn't you find out about this whole competition through Instagram?
Yes, through Instagram ads. So, well, I've been thankful. The algorithms are not always bad. Sometimes they lead to the biggest things ever.
That's true. That's true. Well, I know that. So here you are. You've gone from graphic design to freelancing to breaking in the art world. And now internationally, people now know who you are. And it's pretty exciting. But to top it all off, you actually are getting an award as being the top winner of the of this competition, the Ed Art Show. And in the art world, in the advertising world, the Clio is as big as the Oscars or the Emmys. That's in the US. I don't know what you get in Finland, but this is a very, very prestigious award. So tell us about how you feel about that and where you plan on putting this beautiful gold, I think it's gold, statue in your apartment.
Well, it is big. I think I am not able to comprehend the Clio Award and winning it. I think it's just mind-blowing. Like I'm speechless, and I haven't received it yet. It's probably somewhere over the Atlantic on its way to my place. But yeah, it's so big that I don't know how to express it.
Well, I'm just excited that I can talk to you about it because I don't have a Clio, and believe me, that would be one of my dreams too. So I'm very, very excited for you, and I'm sure everyone else is also. Now, you actually have another claim to fame that you're too modest to mention, but I'm going to mention it. I hear that you are a member of Mensa, which means that you are a very, very smart person. So can you just tell us how did you know that, and what do you do with all this immense intelligence that you have in your brain?
Well, I do art.
Good idea.
It was 2017 when I found out, and funnily, it never it never crossed my mind that my IQ would be something different than the main IQ. I think, well, I only have that perspective, so it's hard to say how that affects me and my working, but it might be the reason why I enjoy working on my own, because I can regulate the speed of the process and space of the progress and learning. So it might be the part of the reason why I like to do things on my own.
Well, you know what? That's probably true because you've established a pace for yourself. And I think everyone would agree with me, despite the fact that there's a little language barrier. First of all, you speak beautifully and you're very expressive of what you say, but it's also very clear that you're a deep thinker and you're a spiritual thinker. The way that you're taking your art and nature and the materials that you're using, it's extremely thoughtful and unique and original. And I think that's what's being recognized in this in this ad art show. And I think you should be very proud of yourself for taking all these different elements of your life and your thinking, your thought process and your experiences and putting it into all together into something that's very productive, beautiful, and will cause other people to understand your thoughts and draw from that. Now that we've established that you're a fantastic artist, a wonderful person, and all of that, what are your goals for your fine art career now that you're now launched? So what's your plan?
I think, well, I don't
if you know it.
Plan. I think the important thing now is well, now it's the start of my professional artist career in a big way. So I think just to get it all into my head and get a bigger understanding of the professional scene, I think that's the next main thing. And then, of course, looking for different opportunities, contacts, all stuff like that. But of course, the main core of my working will stay the same, since it brought me this far. So
you're doing very well for someone that's just sitting in their apartment in Finland. That's very, very impressive.
Yeah, it is funny that I've been here locked down in Finland, and then I still win something in Manhattan. So it's quite fun.
No, it's true. That's the beauty of technology and one of the side effects of the pandemic. And I'm just going to plug myself for a second, and hopefully you and I will now form a relationship based on our mutual love of art. And that's that. What my business was basically giving art visits to art galleries in New York and museums in New York City. And with the pandemic, I can't do it either, really. Certainly not the same way we were doing it before. And going virtually is amazing. And what we're doing is we're virtually going to be doing these gallery hopping tours through Manhattan. So you can see what's going on right now in New York City galleries, even from Finland. So it's no new world for everyone. And I have to admit that Maria was really quite innovative, because she's been doing this longer than anybody else. We all got thrown into it a little bit. She was working her magic a while ago. So congratulations on being the beneficiary of this award. Well deserved. Can't wait for, will you send us a picture of your Clio and show us where you put it?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to sign off. We've met the artist, seen some of his work, and now know that there's a new career waiting for you, and you are off to a fantastic start. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Back to you, Emily.
Thank you, Anton. Thank you, Debbie, for another great conversation. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in on today's live stream. I encourage you all to tune in tomorrow for the next episode of Creativity Ambassadors in the Ad Industry, hosted by Bennett D. Bennett, Principal of Aerialist and co-founder of 600 and Rising, featuring Eric Scheiner, Executive Director of Pioneer Works, and David Sable, Senior Advisor of WPP. All POV interviews will be available for viewing on mvvart.com and on MVVR's YouTube channel. I encourage everyone to go to our website and buy a branded t-shirt to support City Harvest during Hunger Action Month. And of course, visit the Oculus at the Westworld Trade Center if you're in the city to get to see the Ad Art Show 2020 come to life on the screens. And while you're there, make sure you stop by Italy for a free coffee and dessert. Thank you